The Yang di Pertuan Agong, also known as the paramount ruler, the supreme head or the king, is the constitutional monarch and head of state of Malaysia. The office was established in 1957, when the Federation of Malaya gained independence from the United Kingdom. The Yang di Pertuan Agong is elected by the Conference of Rulers, comprising the 9 rulers of the Malay states, with the office de facto rotated between them, making Malaysia one of the world's few elective monarchies. The 16th and current Yang di Pertuan Agong is Sultan Abdullah of Pahang, replacing Sultan Muhammad V of Kelantan, who abdicated on the 6th of January 2019. He was elected on the 24th of January. At a special meeting of the Conference of Rulers, he took the oath of office and was sworn in at the Istana Negara on the 31st of January. The Yang di Pertuan Agong's queen consort is known as the Raja Permaisuri Agong and the Kapula, styled in English as His Majesty and Her Majesty, respectively. The Yang di Pertuan Agong's role is that of a constitutional monarch. The Constitution of Malaysia and Acts of Parliament made in accordance with it define the extent of his powers as the head of state. These are divided into 2 categories: powers exercised on the advice of the Prime Minister, another minister, the Cabinet, the Conference of Rulers, or some other officer or institution, and discretionary powers. The Constitution vests the executive power of the federal government in the monarch. However, with few exceptions, he is bound to exercise this power on the advice of the Cabinet or a minister acting under the Cabinet's general authority. Thus, in practice, most of the actual day-to-day work of governing is performed by the Cabinet. The discretionary powers of the Yang di Pertuan Agong pertain chiefly to appointing the Prime Minister, withholding consent to dissolve Parliament, and calling meetings with the Conference of Rulers, concerned solely with the privileges, position, honors and dignities of their Royal Highnesses. Under the Westminster system, the Yang di Pertuan Agong is expected to appoint a Prime Minister who will command the confidence of a majority of the Dewan Rakyat, the elected lower house of Parliament. Should the Prime Minister be or become unacceptable, he may be forced out by a vote of no confidence, which would require the Yang di Pertuan Agong to appoint someone else as Prime Minister or dissolve Parliament for an election. Conventionally, the Prime Minister is the head of the party with a majority in Parliament. This was the Barisan Nasional Coalition from independence in 1957 until 2018. When the Pakatan Harapan Coalition took office, the Yang di Pertuan Agong renews the appointment of a Prime Minister after every general election, until the minister decides to step down. The Yang di Pertuan Agong has discretionary powers to choose who he wants as the Prime Minister if no party has won a majority vote and is not bound by the decision of the outgoing Prime Minister. But he can only dissolve Parliament at the request of the Prime Minister. He can reject any new laws or amendments to existing laws, but if he still withholds permission, it will automatically become law after 30 days from the initial submission to him. The Yang di Pertuan Agong appoints numerous high-ranking office holders in the Federation under the terms of the Constitution and various acts passed by Parliament. The Constitution established procedures for such appointments. The Yang di Pertuan Agong appoints 44 senators to the Dewan Negara, the upper house of Parliament. The Yang di Pertuan Agong appoints the Yang di Pertua Negeri of the states of Penang, Malacca, Sabah and Sarawak at his discretion, after considering the advice of the state's chief minister. The Yang di Pertuan Agong also appoints the mayor and city council of Kuala Lumpur. In addition, the Yang di Pertuan Agong is the head of Islam in the 4 states ruled by appointed governors, in the 3 federal territories, as well as in his own state. In this role, he is advised by the State Islamic Affairs Council in each of the states. The Yang di Pertuan Agong appoints the chairman and members of each council. He also appoints the state mufti in each of these states. There is a single Islamic Affairs Council with jurisdiction for the 3 federal territories. This council is also appointed by the Yang di Pertuan Agong, in accordance with Article 41 of the Constitution. The Yang di Pertuan Agong is Commander-in-Chief of the Malaysian Armed Forces. As such, he is the highest-ranking officer in the military chain of command. As the Supreme Commander of the Malaysian Armed Forces, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong appoints the Chief of Defence Forces, on the advice of the Armed Forces Council. He also appoints the service heads of each of the three branches of the military forces. On the 31st of August 1957, having rejected the suggested title of Yang di-Pertuan Besar in favour of Yang di-Pertuan Agong, the Conference of